Marine Le Pen is a leading candidate in the French presidential race. The first round of voting is on April 23rd, which will narrow the field to two for a runoff election on May 7th.
Marine Le Pen is a far-right candidate and represents the Front National, the National Front, which is the far-right party.
The National Front has existed for a little over 40 years, and Marine Le Pen has been running the party since January 2011.
Marine Le Pen is the daughter of the founder of the National Front, Jean-Marie Le Pen. He founded it in the early 1970s, and it was considered a pretty racist, anti-Semitic party and always very marginalized. The party was seen as anti-Semitic in large part because her father had often minimized the Holocaust.
Je ne dis pas que les chambres à gaz n'ont pas existé, mais je crois que c'est un point de détail de l'histoire de la Deuxième Guerre mondiale.
But Marine has distanced herself from her father since 2015. In part, that's because she has tried to change the message of the party and change the branding of the party.
I excluded from the National Front my very own father. We could not tolerate words, unacceptable words that would lead to a caricature of our movement.
By removing her father, Le Pen hoped to move the party away from anti-Semitism. But a recent comment has undercut those efforts. Speaking to the press, Marine Le Pen denied that France was responsible for the Veldiv roundup, which took place when French authorities arrested Jews and brought them to the Velodrome d'Hiver indoor cycling track in Paris for eventual delivery to Nazi concentration camps.
Son discours sur le Veldiv.
Je pense que la France n'est pas responsable du Veldiv. Voilà.
She said this despite the fact that French President Jacques Chirac formally acknowledged guilt on behalf of the French state in 1995. By questioning French culpability in the Holocaust, her comments have reopened old wounds. But for the time being, Le Pen remains a leading contender, as she has been throughout the campaign, and that's largely due to her successful efforts to rebrand the National Front. Instead of being seen as anti-Semites, Le Pen has worked to portray the party as protectors of French identity and French values.
Et notamment aux gens de toutes origines et de toutes confessions que nous avons accueillis. Je rappelle, parce que cela va sans dire, mais cela va mieux en le disant, il n'y a pas et il n'y aura pas d'autres lois et valeurs en France que françaises.
Her big thing is about, France for the French, which gets into some of her policies, which actually we would perceive as racist or xenophobic, but she sees them as returning to a sort of mythical France. In a way, it reminds us a little bit of Trump.
The forgotten men and women of our country will be forgotten no longer.
I am very happy about the election of Donald Trump. I think that the United States will once again regain its former image in the world, which had become very damaged.
To Marine Le Pen, there is a certain French culture that should be upheld, and that's being lost in the tide of globalization. She's particularly anti-globalization. She's against the European Union, and she would like to radically reduce the number of immigrants.
We're not going to welcome any more people. Stop. We're full up.
During the 2015 refugee crisis, asylum seekers fled to Europe from North Africa and the Middle East, eventually landing in places like Calais, France, home to a notorious refugee camp called the Jungle. Many Europeans felt overwhelmed by the sudden influx, and Marine Le Pen seized the opportunity to elevate her nationalist platform.
France didn't absorb the same numbers of people as Germany did or parts of Northern Europe, but at the same time, there was a sense that it was out of control, that Europe did not know how to control its borders.